Be creative. Be willing to make small, really insignificant sacrifices so that way you can live the life you want later. Buy your freedom. Buy it today. Welcome to the Teacher Money Show, the podcast dedicated to helping teachers navigate your unique financial challenges and unlock your financial superpowers. I'm your host, Sean Morgan, a full-time educator and personal financial coach and speaker. And I'm here to help every teacher, whether you're a seasoned teacher looking for fresh insights or a new educator navigating your first paycheck, to have a richer wallet, classroom, and life. I'm excited to come back with another episode that's just me and you, where we continue our discussion of frugal living. Now, last time we had a discussion about the first of the big three, housing, and my top 5 ways that you can reduce your housing costs. Well, we're going to move on to the next of the big three, and that is your transportation expenses. Cars are usually what this looks like, but it doesn't have to be. And we're going to talk about my 5 tips for what you can do to reduce your transportation expenses. So let's dive right on in. Number 1, before you buy. Okay, the thing to keep in mind is that probably the biggest chunk of our transportation expenses are the payments we're making towards a vehicle. If you have a paid off vehicle, your transportation costs go down significantly. So when you're buying, buy something smart, not flashy. We're not trying to impress anybody. I love to say that as a teacher, we don't even live in the same neighborhood as the Joneses, so why are we even bothering to try and keep up with them? Don't buy something that looks cool, buy something that works. Of course, drive used vehicles, not new. The average car loses 20 to 30% of its value in the first year. In the first second it's driven off the lot, it loses much of its value. So looking for a used vehicle that's reliable is much better. I say around 5 years is when most of the depreciation has happened and it's still in that reliable range. And then if you maintain it right, of course, it'll last for a very long time. Pay cash if possible. If you have to get a loan to get a vehicle to go to work, that's completely understandable. I'm not one of the people that say just never ever, because it's one of those things that's necessary in many instances to go to work. However, we're going to talk about that. But just avoid high interest auto loans. And I fell prey to this. I was like, oh, I'll buy this used vehicle, but I bought a much older used vehicle, and because it was so old, they actually charged me a higher interest rate. And I'm like, wait a minute, I could have bought a nicer vehicle and paid a lower interest rate and had the same payment, really. And I would have had an extra car. So pay attention to the interest rate. Don't get married to the vehicle until you know the interest rate that you're going to be paying on it. That's something to keep in mind as well. Keep it simple. Skip unnecessary upgrades, right? Uh, my truck is a piece of junk, but it runs well, but it's a piece of junk, right? I don't have all the fancy stuff inside there. It's not necessary. I got the basic model. It doesn't have any bells and whistles. You can't listen to anything really. Like it doesn't nothing plugs in really. There's no like Bluetooth, none of that. It's just the basic, and it gets me from point A to point B. That's all I need. Don't get the upgrades. And then this is something I've learned recently that I think is really interesting. Depending on the make and model of your vehicle, you can have a different interest rate. So before you buy, investigate what interest rate you're going to get, because this can be a significant difference. Even if the vehicles cost the same amount for you to purchase them, you could have a wildly different interest rate just depending on the type of vehicle it is. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. Okay, number 2, lower the cost of ownership. So you've bought smart, all right? You've paid as much as you can up front. You are paying attention to the interest rate so you don't pay too much. You're getting used, you're doing all those things. Now you own a vehicle, okay? You might have a small payment. Hopefully you have no payment. But we want to lower the cost of owning the vehicle because you don't only have the monthly payment on the vehicle, you have the maintenance costs. So first thing is don't skip maintenance. Skipping maintenance is short-term gain, long-term loss. It's going to wreck your vehicle much, much faster. but it gets expensive to do the maintenance, at a shop over and over again. So learn the basics yourself. Change your air filter, change your wiper blades, get your tire pressure checked, they have these little gauges, you can just check it. There's lots of things that you can do that are just going to make sure it all runs smoothly. And you don't have to actually know it yourself. You just have to be able to search it on YouTube. I have found out so many things on YouTube. I changed the light bulbs on my vehicles because it's really not that hard. I mean, it takes some knowledge because you have to figure out where it all is, but you just put in your make and model and then say what you're trying to do, and I guarantee somebody has done it. Put it on YouTube and shown you how. So I fixed many things on my vehicles just by looking it up on YouTube. Uh, Staying on top of oil changes and regular maintenance is going to really help your vehicle continue to run smooth long term. Now, I understand that you might not want to oil change it yourself. There is some specialized equipment, not a ton, but some specialized equipment. And the cost versus going someplace, I personally don't change my own oil just because I've got, very little time. And these places compared to like buying all the oil you put in yourself are not that much more expensive. Uh, so, I do think that there is something to say about you don't have to do that yourself if you don't want to, because you don't want to buy the equipment and the cost difference is huge. Uh, but the cost of choosing not to do it, that is something that cannot even be calculated until the vehicle breaks. You must get your oil changed regularly. It might feel like you're paying a lot of money to do that, but do it. Okay, now when you need to get your vehicle maintained or fixed, remember that dealerships are charging you an arm and a leg. Never go to a dealership. Find a local trusted mechanic. Uh, do your shopping around. Don't just choose the first mechanic, the closest mechanic. Shop around for the best mechanic in town. The one that's going to be honest with you, that's not going to overcharge you. It's hard to find sometimes, but it is worth the effort. You need to find a good local mechanic that you can work with. Another, just quick tip, keep your tires inflated. Having your tires properly inflated can save you gas mileage. Also, if you have bought an older vehicle, as you are getting, the amount that you owe on it lower and lower, and as the value of the vehicle gets lower and lower, the amount of insurance you need gets lower and lower. So don't just stick with your, high quality top tier insurance. Check that every year, figure out how much insurance you actually need, and lower and adjust it as necessary. So that way you don't pay more insurance than you actually need for that vehicle. Okay, number three, save on gas. Fuel efficiency adds up. Okay, buying a hybrid instead of a regular car in a similar price range will make a huge difference long term. Even a slightly more expensive hybrid over the long term will save you a lot on gas if you're commuting every single day, just because it uses so much less gas from day to day. So something to consider weighing the hybrid versus the regular vehicle and the cost. And hybrid costs have really come down. It's not much of a difference between a regular all gas vehicle and a hybrid vehicle these days. So if you're commuting, look into those commuter cars instead of the one that you really want, the nice looking one. The commuter car that saves you on gas will save your wallet. I recommend using, discount gas, whether that's through apps like Gas Buddy or Upside. I've used both of those and I think they're great. I personally just go to Costco because it's always the cheapest and I don't have to think about it. Sam's Club also does that kind of thing. You can also shop consistently at a grocery store that has gas, like Kroger or Safeway, and they'll give you a discount off of their gas for shopping at the grocery store. I mean, my uncle does this, and he has like $1 off every single time he fills up at the gas station, which is a significant amount. So if you're willing to just loyally shop at one place and it makes sense to do that, you can get a significant gas discount. Now, on the other side of that is often these places are more expensive places to shop, so it might not make sense to shop there to get the gas reward, but to pay a lot more for your groceries anyway. But just, something to consider if you're already going to do some shopping at these places, or it's the only place you have available, or it's the cheapest option around. Things like that could be something to consider when choosing your gas. Uh, gas is a precious commodity. Avoid idling. Avoid aggressive driving, such as rapid acceleration. It's going to burn your fuel. Getting into the habit of being patient on the road. I'm the, you know, kettle calling the teapot black, okay? But it's uh, a huge money saver to not burn gas trying to speed up a ton. Because if you speed up, slow down, it's really what's going to burn your gas up, and you're going to use a lot more. So intentional driving can make a big difference. Now, speaking of intentional driving, if you have coworkers going to the same place, carpooling. Okay, I don't know why we are so averse to carpooling, like we just need our own space, but like you could be saving hundreds of dollars by carpooling, just taking turns driving each other to work, or multiple people. If you get five people, that's usually the size of the car is five people, and you each take a turn driving in a week. That can be a huge, reduction in gas costs, but also maintenance costs and wear and tear on your vehicle. It's a huge thing if you can carpool with some coworkers. You probably have some friends that you would love to hang out with a little bit more. Just carpool with them. It is a great way to save money. Next, don't just drive anytime like, oh yeah, I need that. I'm gonna go drive and get there and come back. Make a plan, write it down, say on my errand day, I'm gonna go do that. If you make a single day to do all your errands, you can avoid multiple trips. You can get it all done. You can even use like MapQuest. I'm not sure if you guys realize this is still around. My favorite feature of this, I use it semi regularly, is I say I'm going to go here, 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 here. Give me the optimized path to go all of those places in the shortest amount of time possible. That is something you can do to wrap all your errands into one place. I take my son to gymnastics every Thursday, and while he's at gymnastics, I go to the grocery store and then go back, and then I to pick him up, and then I go home. It is a easy way for me to get my grocery shopping done, and I'm already out on that side of town, so it's not costing me a lot more gas or anything like that to do that. So bundling errands together is a great way to be able to do this. And then occasionally just try to say, I'm not going to drive today. It's kind of like a no spend challenge, but for driving. These are some great ideas to lower your overall cost on gas, just in general, because those are the things that are going to really consistently every single month just cost you a lot of money. Okay, number 4, optimize your insurance. Don't overpay. Okay. Don't overpay for your insurance. Requote your insurance yearly. Loyalty does not pay off with insurance companies. Their budget is biggest or best for marketing and offering discounts to new customers because they know if they can get a new customer, they can probably keep that new customer. But if you say, no, that's not true, I'm going to hop from place to place to place, you will get a better rate every single time you hop around. That's why you get either you use like an online service or you have an insurance broker who works with multiple insurance companies and you just have them shop it out every single year if you can get yearly. They're kind of leaning more towards 6 months at the moment because of how crazy insurance has been lately. But just as every time that you can renew, don't just go with the automatic. Check for the lowest rate possible. And there are also some of these like new up and coming uh, auto insurance things that like, will like discount you for being a good driver and so forth. So just look into that. Don't just take the big name insurance companies as the only option. There are other options to lower your insurance. And once again, make sure that you're insuring only what you need, not just whatever your original amount was when you got the loan on that vehicle or something. You might not need as much insurance as you are paying for. I went through with my insurance person. I asked about all the things I was getting charged for, and I got to have like $15 popped off of my premium every single month because they were wanting to insure things that I didn't really care about. So that is something to look into. Talk about it with your insurance broker, or when you're doing the online, make sure you're getting exactly what you need before going on. Also, make sure that you ask, do you have an educator discount? This applies to everything. Like Anywhere you go, ask, do you have an educator discount? Like, just be annoying about it. Uh, that you probably do. And then there's other discounts, of course, you can get with your insurance. So, like, ask what are the discounts because they might not realize you qualify for some of these discounts. So, do anything you can to lower that insurance every time you requote it because it's just going to pay off, passively in the long term. You won't have to think about it again for another year, but you're going to put more money in your pocket every single month. And then my last tip, number 5, is rethink your car. Do you need one? The best way to save on gas is just drive less. Can you get rid of a car entirely? If you live in a city that it makes sense to do that, to just use the public transportation, do it. Uh, I know that's kind of drastic, but just use the public transportation because you're not having to pay for the maintenance and the purchasing costs. You're just paying for ongoing use. And there's a lot of places that will give teachers discounts on public transportation. And I was just in Portland, and there's like a cap on how much you can spend on public transportation in a month. And it's like $100, which is, I'm going to tell you right now, not higher than what I'm paying in gas every single month. So, to have a, hard and fast, I'm going to spend $100 every single month on transportation is a fantastic, budgeting tool, first of all, and it's going to save you money. So that would be my first thing. If you're in a situation where you can do that, consider doing that. If you're not, you likely have a vehicle. You likely have two, because most Americans have two vehicles. Can you make it with just one? Now, I'm not at this point yet. I still have two vehicles, I'll be honest. But I'm feeling it. I'm like, maybe I should just have one vehicle. Maybe we should condense. That way you're going to save thousands on insurance alone, not to mention maintenance, repairs, gas, so forth. Cutting down to one vehicle and just having more planning sessions, paying attention to your schedule so that way you know that you're going to have one person go here, the other person will drop them off and they'll go over there and come back. Like, it takes a little bit more planning, but it will save you a ton of money in the long run. And then the more drastic version, of course, is bike or walk. If you live close enough to the school, do it. It's not only going to save you on gas, it's going to keep you fit. And close enough is a very subjective term. Okay. I lived 30 minutes riding a bike with a motor away from my school, and I chose to ride a bike to work. We only had one vehicle at the time, and my wife needed that in case she needed to get to a hospital or something. I wasn't going to leave her stranded out in the boonies because we lived 20 minutes away from town driving without a vehicle. So I rode my bike to work. And was it fun in the winter? No. But was it doable? Yes. And the motor cost me like $300, which is like one car payment. So I was able to get a motor and ride my bike to work using a motor. So I was able to, I was a little fit, but I wasn't having to put in all the effort and get all sweaty before I got to work in the morning either. So I mean, if you live 2, 3, 4 miles from work, could you get a motor on a bike? Could you get a bus pass? Could you walk? Those are the things to consider for getting to work without a vehicle. It's going to save you a ton of money. And then the long-term play here is also kind of paired with our other one is moving closer to work. If this makes sense with the housing cost. So if you are commuting a really long distance, and moving closer to work can allow you to either have a lower payment, start a house hack, move into a situation where you're able to save money in any way, and you can now just ride a bike to work or commute less. That is a huge win. So if you can compound those two things, highly consider making that move, making that choice. What doesn't work though is saying, "Oh, I'm going to move closer to my school so that way I don't have to have as long of a commute. I'll save money." And then you pay, 500 more bucks in rent or something. Like, that's not a good idea. So you have to balance those two things. But if you can get a win-win on both, closer to school and a lower payment, That is what's going to make a huge difference. It's going to make the biggest difference in these first two of the big three. All right, so those are my 5 ideas for how you can lower your cash outlay for transportation. So just to recap here, before you buy, pay attention, have a plan, keep the costs low, avoid high interest. I can tell you right now, it's not fun. So you want to make sure that you are making those smart choices. I'm just passing on the wisdom of my own mistakes to you. Hopefully you will listen and not make the same mistakes that I have. Number two, lower the cost of ownership. I do basic maintenance myself. I'm not going to pay them $20 to put wiper blades that cost $5 on my vehicle when I go to get my oil changed, right? Things like that. Do simple maintenance yourself. Vet your mechanics, find the right ones, all those types of things. And then, of course, we have lowering your gas payment. Okay, finding those discounts. Don't idle, right? I get to pick up my son from school, and there are people that have been sitting there 20, 30 minutes idling in their vehicle because they're afraid of, 80-degree weather. Okay, that is wasting your gas. And get outside, people. Okay, just get outside. Um, Sorry, I'm gonna get off my soapbox now, but the point is that that's going to kill your gas budget. Don't do those types of things. Reduce your gas every step that you can. And then, of course, checking your insurance, making sure you're not paying more than you need every single year, and getting those discounts you need. And finally, do you need a car? Find every excuse you can to cut a car out of your life so that way you don't have to pay for it. I mean, uh, you know, if you can live in such a way where you only need a car once a month, twice a month, once a week even. Let's say you need a car once a week, and Ubering is going to cost $50 every single time. That's $200 a month for your vehicle costs. Is that cheaper than your costs owning a vehicle? Is it as convenient? Maybe not, but it's cheaper. And it can put more money in your pocket, which can lead to more freedom for you. Be creative. If you want to actually save money, be willing to make small, really insignificant sacrifices so that way you can live the life you want later. Buy your freedom. Buy it today. I'm working on it every single day. I'm trying to buy my freedom. I'm getting out of some bad choices I've made, and I'm investing for my future so I can be free. I plan to be free by the time I'm 50. Hopefully sooner. But I know that with my current goal, I will be free by the time I'm 50 with the current trajectory I'm on, and I'm optimizing every single month, every single week. I'm working on small tweaks I can make to optimize and get there even faster. I'm already on track to get there by 50. And that is significantly earlier than many other people are able to get there. Can you beat me? I'm going to throw down the challenge right now. Beat me to freedom. Make those sacrifices. Find a way to get there. Okay. I know I'm kind of pushing it now, but regardless of whether you can give up your car, regardless of which of these ideas you use to lower your car payment, remember that as a teacher, you are already rich. Your wallet just needs to catch up.
If you would like help on your personal financial situation, go to teachermoneyshow.com/coaching and you'll be able to find different ways that I can help you there. If you would like to participate in spreading this message of financial empowerment to teachers, I would encourage you to talk to your administrator or to your district level about going to SeanKMorgan.com to find more information there. And regardless of which one of those you need, please like and subscribe so that way we can spread the reach of this more. Leave a 5-star rating and review. That's going to help more teachers find this. And then turn around and tell a teacher friend. I really appreciate it.
The contents of this podcast are informational in nature and are not legal or tax advice, and neither I nor my guests are engaged in the provision of legal, tax, or any other advice. You should not act upon this information without first seeking appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional.